And we are live. Hello, hello, everyone. All right. So we are officially first stream on StreamYard Core plan. Yeah. So, that's cool. That's neat. So I need to actually stream more is what that means. So luckily I'm going to be a little less busy soon. So that's good. Yeah. We'll have to stream more so I can, defend this purchase. No, but welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. It is Saturday morning. I have to work in a couple hours, so this is a weird day for me, but I figured I'd get on here and talk because, yeah, um, things happened in the last couple days. And it's not surprising. It's not anything that's, we didn't see coming or wasn't in the works for a while. All that short-term thinking, to quote Bert Cooper from Mad Men, uh, with David Zaslav and HBO and Discovery, and then they're coming apart, and then you know trying to kind of string together these hits, these box office hits. And I said this yesterday on Twitter that nobody's going to talk about it, because that's just how the media is now and what generates clicks on Twitter. But no one's going to give David Zaslav credit, but he did exactly what his job was. He came in, he cut the fat, he said, okay, this is how we're going to make money, and they did. They had a really good run here the last couple years with Barbie, with I know One Battle After Another is not a good example. Sinners, I know they did the Conjuring movies. I know they did. I think wasn't the Minecraft movie HBO, or excuse me, Warner Brothers. So they they just hit on a couple key uh, movies, properties, whatever, and it just it took. They were able to get that valuation up. They were able to get out of debt or as much debt as as they were dealing with. He did his job. You might hate him. You might be someone who wants to see that Batwoman movie. I don't know why, but and then you have people in the press like Brendan Fraser who pretend it's good or something. Um, and it's just like you don't. One thing that you'll learn if you follow movies long enough, or if you read books about it, you kind of grasp the history on any level, is that actors are just so full of shit. I mean, they'll say anything. Literally, they're actors. They're professional liars. That's what they do. That's and it's not to say that I don't respect their skill, their talent, their craft. It's amazing what they do. It's amazing. But like don't fall in love with an actor. What's the worst thing you could do to yourself? That's just I mean, you have people that they literally have to create reasons to do things, even if they're not really happening. It's like, you know what I mean? Because if you were to consciously, critically think, you would go insane because you'd be like, who am I? I'm a neurotic freak. Anyway, I've made plenty of negative comments about actors, usually just to trigger people. You know what I mean? Usually just to get under people's skin. But they are opinions that have been held by people that are world class craftsmen. Alfred Hitchcock famously said actors are cattle. And really what he meant was you kind of have to baby them and coddle them, and but they don't have any idea what you do. They don't have any appreciation. It's like it's like they're children. Uh, now it's that very same preciousness that a lot of actors have about themselves, uh, in addition to ego and narcissism, that makes them great at what they do. So this is the thing that people don't grasp: is the negative attribute is also a contributing factor towards what makes that person great, famous, interesting, whatever. And perhaps I latch on to that a bit too much with having aggressive personal characteristics. But hey, here we are. So that's just that's just how I kind of see it. But anyway, um look, I've been lamenting for a long time that five corporations own 93% of the media in this country. That was in the mid 2000s. I've been following this shit for a while now. And if you want to know the truth, with the most context, this started happening um, back in the late 60s when Gulf Western took over Paramount, when all the studios sold to multinational corporations. And, the stewardship that these people took on was actually pretty good for a while. They put the right people in the right positions. I mean, even people I don't like, people like Barry Diller. You can't really say that he didn't make money for Paramount. He did. He absolutely did. But you see what happened over time. You see the influence of the agent. You see the outrageous paydays for celebrities, for stars. You see the lack of box office. You see, this reduction in quality. And look, I love aspects of the 80s. I love the 90s, the 2000s I grew up in. And, you still had craft being put on the forefront. You still had strong direction. You had auteurs making interesting movies about interesting topics that had not been broached or hadn't been broached in this specific way. And things were good, things were still pretty good. But maybe it was just a bubble. Maybe it's just this slow decline, this slow bleeding of once proud industry, and I say that with the clear acknowledgement that movies have been looked at as like frivolous and trashy and stupid by society in general, think people who write think pieces, whatever, for a long time, culturally that there's some kind of poison or whatever. It's like, dude, please shut the fuck up, And I mean, I guess that's more of an ancient mindset, but to me, it's incredibly sad when it happens to anyone. But the fact that it's Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers is very special to me personally, for a lot of different reasons, for a lot of different like things that were wedded to my appetite and to my brain very early on with, Batman 1989, which came out the year I was born and was just obsessively watched as a kid, to Looney Tunes, to the gangster pictures of the 1930s, to, you know, the partnership with HBO and their high quality television series, and, Cartoon Network and Adult Swim and, and so, watching the WB as a teenager, watching all the different characters, all the different great actors that belong to Warner Brothers, that studio. Uh, the Warners themselves were just not great people. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, just look at them you look at them like, even by like a couple decades ago standards, not even modern standards. It's still really rough. It's like you can't even decide like who's the worst of the anyway. It doesn't mean that they didn't build great studios or a collection of great movies and talent, but yeah, man, these were rough people. Oh, buddy. But it's this kind of like golden vault, Warner Brothers, that gold symbol of quality, of prestige, of glamour, showing us all of the feelings that weren't polite. Um, whether it's, and this is true in their melodramas as well, women's pictures, if you want to call them that, Betty Davis movies, who's just an incredible talent. And, those gangster pictures, those criminal movies, understanding maybe where these people are coming from, but ultimately condemning who they are and what they're about and what becomes of you when you make yourself a part of that. So, yeah, no, it's sad. It's, because so much of the 30s, are these, are musicals or happy-go-lucky movies or romantic comedies or, this, I'm gonna fucking forget what the term is, screwball comedies, you know what I mean? And so, and you understood why, you understood, World War II is going on, across the world, and that's going on, and you're just kind of trying to cheer people up and distract them away from their miserable life, which for a lot of people that was the case. So yeah, I always appreciated that. They I don't necessarily think of them as being very strong with film noir. Of course, you had Laura, you had Leave Her to Heaven. I mean, there's definitely some that you can pick out. I mean, it seemed like it seemed like Warner Brothers had more Technicolor noirs than anybody, which is kind of interesting. But and I'm sure I'm talking out of my ass right now, but because in some a lot of people, sorry, a lot of people just paying attention to my phone, it's fine. Um, but a lot of people like associate RKO, because Warner Brothers, I think, bought out their catalog. I think with a lot of noirs associated with Warner Brothers when really they were RKO. But and then even going back to like the start of the sound period, they had that Western electric sound system associated with their movies. So it was like, this high quality radio broadcast sound system that really advertised the sound of the movies in a way that really none of the other studios did. Because obviously you had the things like the Technicolor, you had the, whatever, VistaVision and CinemaScope and all the different advertisements for that studio and going to their movie and going to their experience. And, there's been gimmicks like 3D or whatever, but yeah, like, so Warner Brothers has been there from the start, just like Paramount, just like, I guess, Disney, Fox, Columbia, MGM, and a lot of these companies don't exist anymore. We still talk about them. You still see that label, that brand, but Columbia is owned by Sony. MGM is owned by Amazon. And these people, including Netflix now, and I'm throwing Ted Sarandos, Ted Pope into this. And Ted Pope, though he runs Amazon now, Amazon Prime and MGM, he was part of Netflix originally. And so these people are parasites. Okay. They don't, they care about money. They are businessmen, but only up to a certain point because they already have so much. I mean, we're talking about the amount of resources is astronomical here. This deal was what, 82 billion? 82 billion. So, it's just, they have money. Apple has money. And you got to wonder at a certain point, like you really got to wonder. I mean, if these are just going to be, and I mean, you can say that it's already happened to a certain degree, but these things are just going to become propaganda machines. I mean, they're just going to be propaganda machines. You're going to have Apple, you're going to have Netflix, you're going to have maybe a couple of the big media conglomerates left that include this, what was the studio or part of the studio system. It's the spoon-fed people this garbage. So, it's, I say it's fine, but it's just like, is it? Again, this is not anything I didn't see coming. I'm just lamenting the fact that really my favorite studio of all time is gone. And it doesn't matter who buys it, they're gonna just become part of the new company. And so it's okay. It's just, that's part of life. That's part, disappointment and things falling apart, that's part of it. So, but I also just despise Netflix and what they do. They don't care about craft. They don't care about the filmmaker. They throw money at people, which, whatever, it's their money. What am I going to say to that? It's their money. It's their business. They can do and run it however they want. But yeah, their movies look like shit. They look like shit. Unless the director insists on, obviously like making it look the way he wants to look, which, hey, a lot of people don't care. A lot of people who are working just do not give a shit. And that's okay, I guess. I just, I'm not going to respect your movie. I'm not going to respect you as an artist or a filmmaker because what you make is fucking garbage. So, and again, there's a few, exemptions from that. I certainly think that Jeremy Saulnier is a very talented filmmaker who made Hold in the Dark for Netflix. But then he also followed it up with Rebel Ridge, which was a piece of shit. So, there you go. Um, so everybody disappoints you ultimately, so it's fine. Not to mention that I had an exchange with Mr. Saulnier on the internet on Twitter that just, some people just live in an echo chamber, no matter how talented they are, no matter, and he's a cinematographer on top of being a director. Like he's a really talented guy. He's got a great eye, but we just all suffer from that ideological sort of obsessiveness, I guess. Projecting constantly. Anyway, Martin Scorsese made The Irishman, which, again, I try not to use the word masterpiece too much, but I do think that that was a cherry on top of his gangster movie aesthetic that was just brilliant. I thought it was a brilliant movie. And there's I'm sure I'm missing some things here, things I've liked over the years, but it's been real barren. Oh, Maestro. I thought Maestro was excellent. But again, Bradley Cooper, he's not gonna let someone get in the way of his movie looking the way he wants it to look. And look, a lot of people think Bradley Cooper is a pompous dickhead. And that's fine, but you kind of have to be a pompous dickhead to be an effective artist to some degree. And whatever. For instance, have really enjoyed his work for the most part. I don't really understand the dislike for him, but there that is. So, yeah, I just think that Netflix has done a really piss poor job at showing that they really care about being any kind of a steward for cinema, movies, um, the people who make them, and the value inherent in, what people take away. So many of the action movies that Netflix produces are airless garbage, where The Gray Man cost $1 billion apparently, and it's like it's such a piece of shit movie. Like one of the key things in action movies is choreography, and like you can see it. You just see it in the good ones, and it's absent from the bad ones. I mean, and just it's not completely absent. It's bad choreography though. It's like, what are you doing? Why would you think that that's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's about putting images, successive images together. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So, Hollywood's gone away from stunts. Hollywood's gone away from putting money into like special effects. I almost want to say real, things, real effects, but it's like, no, that's not what I mean. But, shit blowing up, car chases, actual car chases, not the shit that was in One Battle After. Um, the stakes are so low and movies have never been more expensive. I mean, they can't make a $10 million relationship picture. They can't make a $50 million comedy. They can't make anything. It's always these independent directors who make, Terrifier, who make something that doesn't cost a lot and makes a boatload of money, and so this is where we are, and I've been preparing for this for over 10 years. And I will give credit to Bret Easton Ellis, who said this exactly that timeline ago that they're over. Movies are over. Nobody cares. And I don't know. As somebody who's always loved movies, that's all I want are movies that challenge me, that take me places and surprise me and take my breath away. And there is so little that does that anymore. And I know that the common wisdom is like, well, that's because you've changed. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because see, those old movies still resonate when I watch them. So no, that's not it. It's, you've seen enough movies to know when it's a piece of shit. It just does not have any engine. It has nothing moving it forward. It's a copy of 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 a copy. It's a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox. There's nothing that separates it from what it's trying to emulate. We have endless reboots. We have endless sequels. We have an endless parade of unoriginal ideas. You know, that's where we are. That's where we've been for a while now. And we've kind of like like the people who pretended it wasn't bad, like all you fucking assholes, all you unbelievable fucking assholes who didn't actually say, no, these are actually bad movies, the Marvel movies, and like just like the Percy Jacksons and the fucking Hunger Games and all this fucking garbage. It's just fucking garbage. Like it has no cultural value whatsoever except to, children who fucking don't know anything anyway. So just like the Harry Potter movies, fucking terrible. I'm sorry, they're terrible. Okay. The bottom, by the way, the bottom when it comes to my critical consensus is like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. If you're not reaching that as a bare minimum, you're a fucking piece of shit. Please go away and stop wasting my time. Please stop wasting my time because that's the thing. I just want to have a worthwhile experience. A movie can be dumb and be fun, or RoboCop or Starship Troopers, Paul Verhoeven, thank you. Like that. Like, oh, it's fun on like exploitation movies. Like, even though it wasn't great and it was a stupid, tired, the trope of, Ready or Not. That was a still a worthwhile experience where it's like, yeah, okay, it's a kill the rich movie, then that's stupid and annoying. But really outside of that, it was just a fun survival movie. You know what I mean? Like The Hunt, Surviving the Game. Remember that fucking movie? You know what I mean? Like it's just nobody has any personality anymore. That's what I'm talking about. These genre movies that used to get made with wild ideas that took you crazy, what is it? Judgment Night, which is again not a great movie, but still it was a fun, like, holy shit. This like, it brought you into the situation. It brought you into the movie. You became invested. We don't have that anymore. And I mean, I hear that people create content for people who are on their phones. People in Hollywood have jobs that are called like second screen. It's called second screen. It's for people that are on their phones while they're watching something. If that isn't the bottom of the barrel, lowest common denominator, fucking moron behavior that is being catered to, I don't know what is. That is where we are right now. Okay? It's like people have never been stupider. They've never been more dumb. They've never been more moronic. And yet we have access to all of this information, all of this education. It's remarkable. It's unbelievably remarkable. You can blame the boomers for ruining the economy, I guess, but what is your fucking excuse for being an absolute moron? You know what I mean? Like, your attention span is that of a fucking like, literally a small woodland creature. My dog has a longer attention span than you absolute fucking idiots. And here's the thing. Here's the real thing and takeaway from this moment. I've always hated the public. I've always hated the public and their taste and because they get to generate what gets made and what's so really it's your own fucking fault. All you people idiots. You have no taste, you have no discernment, you have no ability to judge anything, realizing that guess what? Most movies are bad. Most movies are bad. It's such a rarity that something is well made and doesn't it can have flaws. Okay, it can have flaws. But the fact that it's well made and has an arc, has a reason, basically, has a reason to exist. But again, I'll keep with my refrain. This is where we are now. We got Netflix, we got Amazon, we got Apple, and then we got, Peacock, Universal, NBC. We've got Paramount, which is, Viacom and CBS and all that fucking shit. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but, we've got cable, we've got YouTube TV, but it is coming down, it's coming down the pike that there's not a whole lot left. Our world is, resembling both 1984 and Brave New World, two novels that were written, I don't know what, 75 years ago. So, it's not great. It's really not. But, that's more, I mean, really, that's more concerning. This merger or whatever, not merger, but acquisition is more concerning to me than really any political issue right now. I mean, I really don't give a fuck. Um, but that's politics in general. That's always going to be the case for me. But yeah, it's not good. And I'm out of shit to say, I guess. You know, uh, but yeah, I love Warner Brothers. Loved Warner Archive and TCM and so many aspects of what they did to, again, be a steward of the art form and to appreciate and value what it gave us, what it has given us, what it continues to give us. And see, that's the great thing, is that we'll always have those movies. We'll always have that, pieces of time on disc. And that's why being a physical media collector is so important. I have 538 movies on disc. Everyone acting like they're going to become a physical media collector now because they're scared of this. It's like, where were you the last 10 years? You fucking performative piece of shit. But seriously, it's like you have people out here being like, oh, there's a panic. It's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I've been talking about this for fucking 7 years, 8 years, 9 years. I've been collecting movies since then because I knew this shit was coming. I knew it. You see the manufacturer stop making Blu-ray players. You see, these labels go out of business. It's just a matter of time. So it's gonna be like, it's gonna be like vinyl for me. There's just not gonna be a comparison. You enjoy your fucking shitty compressed bitrate garbage streaming fucking quality, and I'll enjoy my fucking incredible, 4,000 plus resolution. Fuck you. I bought a Kino out of print Kino Lorber Blu-ray of They Shoot Horses, Don't They? For $100, okay? You are not on my level. Just get out of my fucking face. So, you know what I mean? That's what you're dealing with, okay? I got, what was it? Bringing Out the Dead, Paramount presents the 4K Blu-ray. It's fucking like $600 now because it's out of print. It was only limited edition. I still haven't unwrapped it, so I'm just like, I think I might just buy the regular 4K Blu-ray and keep that one as a collector's item because holy shit, dude, that's worth so much money. The same thing with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood collector's edition that has the like little 45s and shit with it. That's a fucking ton. It's like, I think on Amazon it's something like $300-$400. So there's a couple Blu-rays I have like that are either out of print or whatever that are just for what I mean, they're just incredibly valuable in the open market. But not saying that people are actually going to pay that, but it is cool. So I asked for the Once Upon a Time in America 4K Blu-ray for Christmas. We'll see if that comes. Shipping in from Italy, it's $100. So yeah, I'm committed. All you people that are performatively being like, shut the fuck up. Okay, I see you. I see you in your bullshit. So Warner Brothers, great brand, great label, great studio, lots of memories, a lot of valuable cultural, achievements and gifts, really. So it sucks. It really does. It's something where if I had the money, I would have done it myself, or tried to. I mean, that would be a dream, that I would be able to run Warner Brothers, the studio that produced all of literally so many of my favorite characters and movies and works of art. But, who has $80 billion, obviously? Come on. Come on. But it's a really good run, man. It's over 100 years. So, but yeah, the number's just going to keep getting smaller with the number of corporations who own the majority of the media in this country. The FCC apparently doesn't want to do its job. I mean, I think this is the exact kind of reason we have antitrust laws. And I mean, I don't care who's making money off of this. Okay, it's like it's just business at the end of the day. But the government has regulations there for a reason, and you got to wonder at a certain point, where are the adults? Where are the adults? Because if you want to change the laws, that's fine. That's one thing. But why have the laws if you're not going to enforce them? Which is something that, to be fair, you know, I'm really trying not to get political here, but Republicans complain about this all the time, especially with, in terms of gun laws and stuff. But so just remember that. Now you can argue that there aren't any laws being violated, I suppose. And I'm certainly not an antitrust lawyer. I don't know antitrust law. It just seems like very much like the definition of a monopoly. Now, they are separating from discovery prior to this sale. So I think that was the way they got around it. However, I'm sorry. I think that people should look at this, whether it's Congress, whether it's prosecutors, just in the sense that, okay, our law is being broken here. You know what I mean? And so, and I realize I'm what I sound like here, somebody who's advocated for business and lack of regulations and stuff. But this is not, this is not a mid-sized corporation. Okay. It's not even a big corporation. This is a multinational conglomerate. Okay. And we're not dealing with, we're not dealing with capitalism anymore. I mean, we are, but we're dealing with something where it's like, you're so massive, you're so ridiculously big that nobody can really compete with you other than another conglomerate. And see, that's like, to me, that's not capitalism, because it's not an equal footing. And so we're talking about something that's been perverted. We're talking about something that's been altered. Anyway, really trying not to get political here, right? So just burp. But it's just, yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. I'm gonna miss the hell out of this big symbol of quality. So just keep that in mind. But all right, we've been talking here for 33 minutes. I don't know what else I can say. I just look, Netflix produces shit, so I don't look forward to the future with what they're going to do with Warner Brothers. The idea hopefully is that they're interested in making money, and so they'll try to do the best job they possibly can. But again, it's, why would you trust in that? So yeah. And for people who love the theatrical experience as I do, it's really not a good thing. It's really a sign that things are coming to a close, as we have known them. And look, I'm going to switch topics here real quick, in a little bit here, because I do want to talk about Quentin Tarantino as well, and Paul Dano and that whole fucking fiasco. But Netflix doesn't care, is what it comes down to. They don't care. They don't care about cinema. They don't care about aesthetic. They don't care about the art form. They don't care about writing. They don't care about acting. They just care about this package they can present to their consumers that makes it attractive, that makes it convenient, that makes it a easy to slide into parasitic relationship that doesn't really provide you what it could. It's really just about keeping you watching mindlessly, feeding you, spoon feeding you. It's fucking horseshit. So, I'm not biased at all though, so it's fine. No, it's fine. If you value Netflix and what it is, great. Good for you, man. I'm sure you're very happy. And like I said, buy movies on disc, buy your favorite TV shows on disc. I have my Looney Tunes collection, I have The Sopranos, I have The Wire, I have Mad Men, I have Oz, Deadwood. I have all these TV shows on disc. I have 539 movies on disc, and everything from, whatever. My Man Godfrey, 1935, to Live and Die in LA, 1985, to, I don't know, Chinatown, 1974, to, The Killer is Loose. Actually, don't remember when that came out. 1958? Joseph Cotton? Anyway, you know what I mean? I have The Fugitive, 1993. I have No Country for Old Men, 2007. I have Little Caesar, 1931. I have, I'm just The Last Temptation of Christ, 1988. It's like, I love movies. I love them so much. I wish the people that, again, were their stewards, the people that are supposed to safeguard them and watch over them, actually cared, and didn't just see them as a product. And seeing how, like, and this was in that book by Ben Fritz called The Big Picture. Very good book, by the way. And he took what Ted Pope said, as CEO of Amazon and MGM, that he sees these things as products, as just another product to offer to the consumer. You know what I mean? And that it's a completely empty thing. But yeah. So it's unfortunate. You wish these people cared. You wish that they valued it the way that you do. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and it's ultimately up to the people who are running them to do that. So, but yeah, saving my changes there. Okay, so it is what it is. They're either going to be sold or not. Maybe the deal falls through. Maybe Paramount comes through. Who knows? But it's not good. It's what I've been saying was going to happen all along. And, as I've gotten older, I've leaned into that feeling, that uneasy feeling, that thing that you don't want to be true, but you have a feeling it is. Yeah. Listen to that feeling. Fucking A, man. All right. So moving on. Okay. Well, I can't change the title now, apparently. So let's talk about Quentin Tarantino. Oh boy. So I am going to see Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair later tonight, 6:00. It's a 5-hour runtime. So, get out at 11. No big deal. So looking forward to it though. It's going to be fun. I absolutely love how that movie is very much inspired by the Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns. Very cool. But yeah, it's just it's gonna be fun. Really looking forward to it. But the whole Quentin Tarantino thing, it's like, look, I'm a member of the Bret Easton Ellis podcast group. I have been since 2013. I'm very familiar with the podcast, and I love that he is able to get people to open up. But Tarantino's always been like this. He's always been free with his opinions. I mean, people used to do this all the time. People always used to write op-eds. People used to write opinion pieces. They did this all the time, and I'm sorry, Tarantino is as much of a critic as he is. I don't personally think he's a very good one, to be fair. I mean, I've read his books and I think they're terrible. Like, he makes so many, like, just unassailable points. Like, he's just talking shit, pretty much. That's what it is. And look, he's basically doing Pauline Kael, that's all he's doing. He's just very opinionated. He's very excited about movies, or you feel strongly another way. And so he talked about Paul Dano. Said that Paul Dano just basically didn't work in There Will Be Blood. Now, I listened to the podcast. I didn't think it was remotely hard on Paul Dano, but and I can probably even pull up the podcast here because I am so I mean we'll see here, but it's just always interesting to me that how people reacting to the thing and not really getting it, not really understanding what it's about. So I'm going to try to pull this up so we can at least I just got to put in my authentication code. I love doing this when I'm live. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't plan well. That's why I need a producer. So let's see. Okay, and here it is. All right, guys. So we're going to pull this up. Okay, so it might take a while to find this. Oh, no, that's right, because There Will Be Blood was like number 2, so it should be easy to find.
Embarrassed.
That last minutes ripped my fucking heart out.
Lost in Translation.
Experience.
I thought Toy Story 4 was okay.
I never wanted to see Toy Story 4. It's above to
True.
That actually goes completely for an Apocalypse Now kind of, maybe has a shooting movie, and like Dunkirk tries for a Apocalypse Now kind of. It actually achieves it, of the guys is almost part of it, but he kind of does the impossible. He does the helicopter scene for fucking 2.5 and recently, but since I was going to make it my number one, this was the one I watched last night before I came here. My heart was going, start crying and get choked.
Maybe the girliest movie ever made, Marie, kind of funny and satirical. Yeah. And I thought, oh my God, what a confident filmmaker this is. And it's an effortless movie that ended up being, out of the blue, so moving.
I don't even know what the fuck I saw. It was almost too much. And then like the second time I saw it, I don't care for Owen Wilson. I don't care for Matthew Lillard. This is my Christopher Nolan movie.
I have seen you talk about this movie. I have read you talking about this movie. You loved this film, and I think it was your favorite movie of that year.
And I won't go into because I've done a whole show on another thing before, but it was a thing where now what I love about it is I really feel that there's a real mastery.
And it was her.
And I courted and wooed her, and I'll be interested. I was interested to see her reaction to it.
Movie, this kind of moody, effortless vibe, this aura.
And there also is this thing about it. I ended up, name drop for 2 seconds. Ended up talking to Pedro Almodovar about it, and we were both talking about one of the things that we liked so much about the film is it was so girly.
Absolutely.
It's so
still on Lost in Translation. Yeah, I'm going to try to find this because I'm trying to remember where the hell he talks about There Will Be Blood, but I'm pretty sure it was high on his list. So, let's pull up Reddy Snellis's Twitter here, and we'll take a look. So here it is. There Will Be Blood is 5, so it's right before Dunkirk, which I was just at, of course. Okay.
Such a delicious, had an old Hollywood craftsmanship without ever trying to be like that, and actually,
I think this is it.
Being very flexible. I mean, it was his only movie he had ever done, and I remember bringing it up to him that really doesn't have a set piece.
The scenery and eating Paul Thomas, and in that moment,
practically kissing him. But that was not the case there. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to go out with Paul.
He made a couple movies in between that, but I didn't quite.
Just the first screening, or that whole number 5 is Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood.
There you go. I am completely with you. It sometimes it is sometimes my number 1 pick of the 21st century. Sometimes it's not, but it's in the top 5. And this is a movie is one of those movies that took me a little while to fully warm up to. I remember feeling a little alienated by it the year it came out.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite.
Just the first screening or that whole year?
No, the first screening I went to of it, it left me a little cold. And I had loved Boogie Nights and Magnolia. I guess he'd made a couple movies in between that, but I did not locate the pleasures of There Will Be Blood until much later. And then it really became an overwhelming experience. And I think still maybe the greatest movie of the 21st century so far on a certain day. Did you respond immediately to it on a first viewing?
I responded. Yeah, I responded to it a big way. Yeah, I don't know how I would have responded in an afternoon, going to see it on an afternoon screening kind of thing on a Tuesday. I'm not saying that's how you did, but I actually went to the premiere, which is almost like I never have a good experience at that, but that was not the case there. And then I'm going to go out with Paul. All right, afterwards. And then he just happens to make his masterwork. I was like so affectionate for him because he so fucking did it that night that I was practically kissing him all night.
Absolutely.
I was just overloaded with affection for him.
Yeah. And I think that year there was this race between the Coen brothers, No Country for Old Men, and There Will Be Blood. And in that moment, and look, to compare is just absurd. But during that year, they were in the Oscar race, and those were the two movies and everything. Because No Country for Old Men is a masterpiece. It's probably the Coen brothers' greatest film. And Paul Thomas,
Raising Arizona.
Oh,
shut the fuck up, Quentin. God, he is such an unbelievable moron. It's like, dude, we know you have bad movie taste. You don't have to fucking like parade it around.
Raising Arizona.
No. But look, there might, but There Will Be Blood. All the things that, like, I thought that Daniel Day-Lewis was eating the scenery and eating the audience, and I just couldn't find my way into the movie. And then, of course, after many viewings, it's just an overwhelming masterwork. So, what was it that you really loved about it from the first viewing?
Daniel Day-Lewis's performance and the almost old style craftsmanship quality to the film, but without being a journeyman craftsman, but it had an old Hollywood craftsmanship without ever trying to be like that, and actually being very flexible. It was his only movie he had ever done, and I remember bringing it up to him, that really doesn't have a set piece. The oil fire is the closest thing to a set piece in it. And he goes, yeah, that's about the closest I ever get to it. Now, this is just about dealing with the narrative, dealing with the story. And he did it fucking amazingly.
And it really is, you have to remember, just a character study of this one person. And then everything spreads out from that. It's not like there's this giant cast of characters like in Boogie Nights or Magnolia.
And now I would say, though, There Will Be Blood would stand a better chance to be in number 1 or number 2 if it didn't have a big giant flaw in it. And the flaw is Paul Dano. Obviously, it's supposed.
Okay, so what statement did Tarantino just make? He said, there's one big flaw in There Will Be Blood, and it's Paul Dano. Okay. That's it. Now, obviously, they go on to talk about it in a conversational way. Conversation. It's not, yes, you're hearing them talk about it, but it's really, so he's not making a professional application. He's talking about his personal tastes.
To be a two-hander, and it's also so drastically obvious that it's not a two-hander.
Interesting that you bring that up now. I would not have thought that, but now that you say that, that can be distracting, I guess.
He is weak sauce, man. He's a weak sister.
Is it the character?
He's eating him. Another terrific act. Austin Butler would have been wonderful in that role.
So it really was a matter of the wrong actor, wrong role.
He's just such a weak, uninteresting guy.
Yeah.
He's just a weak, uninteresting guy. look, this comes down to, just what, it's just Paul Dano's playing that character, but there are other ways to play that character. I mean, we saw this kind of with Robert Pattinson in The Devil All the Time in 2020, 2021. This sort of gesticulating preacher. There's something about it that I don't buy. There's something about it that feels insecure and not functioning within the body of the character himself. That thing where his voice breaks. I don't know. It's just, while I understand the commitment by the actor, the performance is cringy and like it makes my skin crawl. And maybe that's like what's supposed to happen. Maybe that's the desired effect, but it just became cringy as shit. And yeah, I agree with what a lot of people have said, that it makes you want to side with Daniel Plainview because Eli Sunday is such a fucking worm of a character. So maybe he did give a good performance because that's exactly how you feel about him. But maybe Quentin just wanted less of a losery, antagonist for Daniel Plainview. That's kind of what it sounds like.
I think I find him more interesting than you do. So Daniel Day-Lewis needed a stronger foil.
Well, Daniel Day-Lewis shows that he doesn't need that.
No.
The movie needs a
Right.
strong. He doesn't need anything.
Right. Yeah.
The movie would have had more. There would have been more stringiness to the beef. And again, it's supposed to be a two-hander. And
I guess ultimately it is. You're right. But Daniel Day-Lewis also makes it impossible for it to be a two-hander because there are aspects of that performance that are so.
I mean, that's kind of, it's a ridiculous thing for Quentin to say, because it's like, okay, what are you talking about? Two-hander as in like, right, as like a, shit, now I'm going to fuck this up. Like a steady cam. Like the constant movement, no. Paul Thomas Anderson likes master shots way too much. Okay, he likes his. I mean, I wouldn't call, not specifically set pieces, but the master medium close up. There's a reason this formula has existed in cinema for 100 years. Master, medium, close up. Master, medium, close up. Master, medium, close up. Gee, I wonder why it works. I wonder why all the master art, the filmmakers keep coming back to this method time and again. Jesus fucking Christ. It's like people do not fucking study the material. It's right there. It's telling you everything you need to know. It's fucking there on the screen. Sorry, guys. People irritate the absolute shit out of me with their fucking nonsense.
Gargantuan. It's like he's about to eat the audience. What else can he do? How much more can he take this
put
opera?
him with the weakest male actor in SAG? The limp.
I mean, do you really not know what he means by this? Paul Dano is like milquetoast personified. I mean, it's fine. And I think he's a good actor, but like, he's like nice guy, like literally personified. It's like, I know exactly what he's talking about. Like, I wouldn't, like Tarantino would never cast him in anything because he's such a harmless, like slug of a man, I mean, I know what he means. See, I'm part of the problem, guys. No, and I want to reiterate, Paul Dano is an excellent actor. That doesn't mean I don't like completely understand where Tarantino is coming from. It's like, yeah, he's a little like slimy, wormy, fucking nothing, like simpy, douchey, fucking, doormat of a guy. Yeah, I know. I get it.
This dick in the world?
Oh, I don't know. I do think that for what Paul Dano had to do, that he was quite good in what he had to do. So I'm kind of defending Paul Dano.
Okay. I'm not saying he's giving a terrible performance. I'm saying he's giving a non and a T.
Have you liked him in anything?
I don't care for. No, but I don't care for him. I don't care for Owen Wilson. I don't care for Matthew Lillard. Or,
Yeah, I get it.
I by the way, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I have never heard anybody pronounce Matthew Lillard's name like that. And if he really goes by that, I will seriously make fun of him for the rest of his life. So, but that's another thing with the Bret Easton Ellis podcast. I've been listening for 12 years now. It's a great source of like hearing how he pronounces things. Just, like, you have a very intelligent guy, very smart, very incisive, just, borderline brilliant at times with literature and movies and insight. Just great. But like, he's from Los Angeles. So that's just gonna, so no offense, Bret. And not that you'll ever hear this because, who cares about some weirdo on the internet who's a fan of yours kind of making fun of you, but you just sound like an idiot from Los Angeles sometimes. Especially when he says among. He says among, and I'm like, what? Who? Okay. All right. I'm just going to move on. No, but it's fine. It's these little things you pick up over the years,
Oh, and I have my own list too.
Number 4. And again, I did not feel.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's what Quentin Tarantino had to say about Paul Dano. Okay, so I will agree that he definitely doesn't like him. That's pretty fucking clear. I don't know that you can really get around that. But at the end of the day, he's entitled to his opinion. He really is. He makes his movies the way he wants to. There's a line, miles long of people who want to work with him. So, not really much you can do about that. And you see the idiots who call him a Zionist or whatever. It's all this stuff that really has no traction or meaning. But, so it's just a lot of angry people who want to defend, And again, he's a good actor, but in terms of a personality, in terms of a presence, he's kind of a milquetoast dweeb. Yeah, I get it. So, and that's cool. That's fine. See, things can be, you can have it both ways, guys. He can be a fucking, emasculated fucking tree trunk and still be a good actor, it just depends on the application ultimately. You got to use the right tools. So yeah, it's been fun kind of tackling these two topics. It is Saturday morning. I have to work here in another 90 minutes, so that's fun. But it's only for half the day, so not too bad. All right, guys. Well, go watch some movies. Go see some new movies. Never mind. Just avoid them. It's like the plague. But I wanted to talk about this. It's probably going to be brought up on Tuesday night on the Barroom Podcast. You can always find that at Society Reviews. I think we're on. They're on. I'm on. We're on. I don't know how to talk about it. They're on Rumble now, though. So because YouTube decided to be really stupid. So yeah, you can check us out there. I'm usually on Tuesday nights, 8:00 Eastern. Yeah. Okay, but for real, I'm gonna end this podcast, the stream. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. I really have nothing left to say. So Tarantino is going to be who he is. Netflix will either buy HBO or Warner Brothers or not, and that's it. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Have yourselves a good weekend. And we'll try to do this more often, especially since I have a StreamYard subscription now. So, all right, take it easy.